Okay, I might get started. Okay, so welcome those who are in, and we'll get started. So the session today is just a brief introduction to Invenio trainers, in particular reference to the CATIA certified training that we offer on behalf of Dassault Systems. So what briefly I'm going to introduce the trainers. We have several trainers and a brief introduction to their profile. And what I might do is mute you. So yeah, okay. So now I think that you can sing and dance in the background. So yeah, introduce our trainers and their profiles, and then describe briefly some of the more important and more popular training courses that we offer. Because I'm running this and I can introduce the instructors, I'm going to start off with Paul. Paul's actually watching at the moment. So I'm going to use Paul as an example of the training that we do. So we usually teach from the Dassault System certified training material, almost always teach from that. But I'm convinced that because of the instructors that we've got, because of the trainers we've got, we offer much more than just the training material being read to you from a class. All of the instructors, starting with Paul, have lots of experience in use of CATIA, in industry, in designing and modelling using CATIA, not just in the instructions. We've used functions that are probably not in the training material, and we've probably used them in a way that that may not have been intended by the person who wrote it. We've got lots of experience with the tools, and we've probably already made all the mistakes that most of the students in the class are going to make. I know I have. I actually usually, when I teach, do the introduction from the front and then actually from the back of the class, so I can actually keep an eye on everybody, so I can actually watch them as they do things. Usually our classes are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in a class, each with their own machine, each with their own training material, projector at the front, that sort of stuff. And we instructors actually learn from each other. Lots of stuff, and you can see from Paul's experience there, that he's worked in lots of places, worked in aerospace and construction and transport. He's worked for Airbus, he's worked for Boeing, he's worked in England, he's worked in Australia, and he's worked with and at multiple suppliers. Paul is currently not just a training person, but a services provider as well. So he's right now working with major companies to model and design and do drafting stuff. So and depending on the courses and depending on the availability, you'll get one or sometimes more of we instructors. And I've sat in on Paul's classes, and you hear him say, when we were at Boeing, we did this for the following reasons. So it's not just here's a function, but there's experience and learning and stuff behind it. Paul is a properly certified Dassault instructor, as am I. And when we get to Sri, he's in the middle of the process of being certified, which means we've got to have experience, we've got to be able to prove that we can teach, and we've got to pass a series of Dassault exams, and then we apply to be certified to Dassault, and then we get the certification. So you can see from the screen the sort of stuff that Paul has been doing and is good at, and the experience that he brings to the training. I'm the next one. I think I've been an instructor for longer than any of the rest of them. I've also worked with and in a large variety of aerospace and manufacturing industries, been teaching CATIA since CATIA version 4 and been using CATIA since CATIA version 3. Also a certified instructor both in version 5 and version 6 of CATIA. I'm the primary instructor at the moment, so I teach most of the classes, but not the only one by a long way. Next up is Robert Clevey, not primarily a CATIA instructor, but my boss. Very experienced with DASO systems, PLM systems, PDM systems. And as they become more and more integrated in with even things like CATIA version 5, his experience with data management and the use of data management in a really practical way, not just as a esoteric thing, makes him a really important supplement to us, so that we can use him as a resource, and he does certainly teach classes. In a similar way, Ratish is a certified CATIA specialist and a 3D experience person. Again, more of a leaning towards the data management stuff, but certainly with he is a CATIA user, and certainly is a support for those. Our most recent instructor is Sriram. As I said, he's currently going through the certification process. I think he's done his experience with Paul. He certainly has the usage experience, as you can see from the sort of places he's worked at or with, and he will be a certified instructor soon, to add another string to our bow in the range of instructors. The main reason I wanted to make sure that that we emphasise the people we've got is that we've been using it for a long time. We've been teaching it for a long time. We are current users of it, of the product, and therefore can offer not just instruction but experience and guidance during the process. Now I want to move on to some of the courses, the more frequent courses, the more important courses, the more useful courses, I guess. First one's CATIA V5 Fundamentals. This course is intended for people with not much or no CATIA experience. It assumes no CAD experience. It does assume that you're sort of familiar with mechanical design. It also assumes that you know how to drive a mouse. What it focuses primarily on solid design, on creating sketches, creating solids, creating parts from solids, assembly design in almost enough detail to be enough assembly design, and drafting, with no formal introduction to surface modelling. It's a 5-day course, and is highly recommended, even if you have some self-taught experience with CATIA V5. Again, because of our experience, we can certainly make sure that you will learn a lot more and be able to get the flow of the way that CATIA is properly, I don't want to say best used, because it's a big animal and there are many ways of approaching modelling in CATIA, but there are certainly some ways that are better than others, and this course tries to cement the fundamentals, not just in what the functions look like and where they are, but a process that can be expanded into good modelling technique from then on. Because it's a fundamentals course, and the assumed knowledge is some mechanical experience, what we do in Invenio is, if you're coming on this course, we will make sure that we don't assume that you have the really basic mechanical knowledge. We don't assume that you know what a first angle projection and third angle projection drawing is. We don't assume that you know what a left and right-handed Cartesian coordinate system is and those sort of things. So a week or so before the course, we send out some course material that we've put together ourselves, that will allow the attendee at this course to not sort of be surprised by, and I've had it in a class years ago, where I say, well, we're going to use a Cartesian coordinate system, and they go, what do you mean? And I've had to describe what X, Y, and Z means. So we don't do that anymore. We make sure that everyone coming has the opportunity to make sure that the really basic fundamental stuff, what does parallelism mean, what does perpendicularity mean, try not to be condescending, but we want to make sure that everyone starts with it doesn't have to sort of sit there feeling lost before they get the opportunity to answer a question. And just for this course, the other ones I haven't said so, but each of these courses is divided up into a number of lessons spread over the period of the course, which introduce and describe the the functions we're talking about, the functionality or the methodology we're talking about, the instructors will talk to the PowerPoint presentation on the screen, will expand upon that PowerPoint presentation, and then at the end of each lesson there is at least one, and if not multiple, exercises. At the beginning of the courses, they're usually described in excruciating detail, and as we get further and further in the course, they're described more conceptually. Obviously, the instructors are there to show you how to do the exercises, or guide you through the exercises, or watch you as you struggle sometimes through the exercises, and struggling through the exercises is a good idea. A really good way to learn how not to do things is to do it the first couple of times. So, and as you see, this course covers SketchUp, profiles, solids, assemblies. It does touch on catalogues and some of the knowledge-aware things, parameters and power copies, and assembly design and creating drawings. Down the bottom left-hand corner of that page, if the CATIA products that you are trying to use are either in the CATIA PLM Express portfolio, the CAT or CAC, the basic introductory CATIA package, then this course covers all of that. And if you're using the standard packaging, so that's an MD1 type license, XM1 MD1 type license, this course covers just about everything in that license. What we normally recommend and suggest after that, slide to change for you. Okay, what we normally recommend after that is the Mechanical Design Expert course. I think most students would usually do the fundamentals course and then maybe come back a couple of weeks later with questions and experience, and then we would tackle the Mechanical Design Expert course. This fills in all the gaps for the solid part design stuff, introduces techniques into assembly design such as skeleton modelling and those sorts of things, expands upon the knowledge-aware parameters, power copies, things like that, introduces surface design, so wireframe and surface design. So there is some, well, more than basic surface design. The exercises you can see based on mobile phones that are somewhat out of date, but the surfacing techniques are certainly not. This course generally covers the products CAT plus MCE, so mechanical design extension, and most of the HDX, the mechanical design, the higher powered mechanical design portfolio in PLM Express, or if you're using standard CATIA MD2, XM2 plus HD2, and introduces not just functions but some methodologies like the skeleton modeling methodology, which is a methodology that is useful and used quite a bit. If you're going to be doing more than just sort of essential surfacing and solid part design, then there's a couple of surface design courses which we would suggest. The first one is CATIA Surface Design, and covers in quite a bit of detail the surfacing covered, supported by the CAT plus MCE licenses. So how to create simple surfaces, the concepts of how those surfaces are stored in the geometrical set, how to check the surface quality a little bit, how to correct deformations and curvatures. It introduces topics like point continuity and curvature continuity and those sorts of things. And it is sort of aimed at people who are using surfaces but eventually want to create a solid. So there is a little bit of an emphasis on, yes, we've got some surfaces now, let's turn them into a solid so we can then use our experience in solid design to finish off the design with solids. If you want to be doing more than just, I don't want to say basic surfacing, but sort of nice, useful mechanical surfacing, then there's a Surface Design Expert course, which covers the majority of the surfacing functionality in the HDX realm of products, or the HD2 if using standard PLM Express, standard licensing. You are expected to have at least the surface design course knowledge, and probably the fundamentals knowledge, so that you understand the structure of trees and those sorts of things. It introduces multiple ways of doing blends, fillets and multi-section surfaces, the intricacies of multi-section surfaces, advanced surfacing, how to find errors in surfaces, how to check quality of curves and surfaces, how to correct quality of curves and surfaces, advanced use of advanced functions like all of the vast majority of the sweep function, which is a really comprehensive surfacing function, and adaptive sweep and tools like that. So if your job is to be doing quite a bit of surface modelling, and you need to be looking at surface quality and model quality, then the Surface Design Expert course is probably the one you should look at. The combined two courses, Surface Design and Surface Design Expert, are a couple of days. Okay, next one is composite design. If you are if you're tasked with designing composites, then you will need the composite design licenses. So CAT plus something plus CPX or CGX, or MD2 plus CPE and CPM. So composite design engineering or composite design manufacturing. The CATIA composite product is a quite comprehensive composite design product. So in these courses you will certainly learn about how to set up materials, how to use materials, how to define composite parameters, draping directions and rosettes and those sorts of things, how to design composite parts based on zones of different stack-ups of materials, and all the manual and automatic ways of defining regions where you want composite materials, and then the CATIA product will allow you to, will automatically, if you want it to, produce stack-ups and join together plies of the same orientation and the same material. The prerequisites are certainly part design, surface design, and assembly design. You will certainly use all of those in this course. It's actually two separate courses. The part design engineering, composite design engineering is how to design and model composite parts, how to make sure you've got the stack-ups and the ply orientations right. And then there's an extension of composite design of manufacturing, where you then can change the engineering engine part. You can actually swap all the composites you've done from one surface to another, so to sort of pre-allow the spring back out, coming out of the mandrels, the layout mandrels and those sorts of things. And then how to generate documentation, such as the little picture on the left there, automatically create ply books for every ply. Together those two courses are 5 days, and obviously will be of vital importance to you if you haven't or are likely to get the composite workbenches, composite licenses for composite workbenches. Next one, which is of probably growing importance, is the functional tolerancing and annotation training material. So if you have or are getting the CAT plus LOE, so the 3D Master extension for Peeling Experience, or the FTX full-blown functional tolerancing function, or in standard FT1 or FTA, then this is the course that you will probably need to look at. 2-day course which goes through both the manual and semi-automatic ways of adding 3D geometric tolerancing and annotations to parts and assemblies. So it goes through all the processes of defining datum planes to put the geometry on. It's not a course in geometric tolerancing, it's a course in how to add geometric tolerances and annotations to 3D parts and assemblies. And depending on the license you're using, if you've got the tolerance advisor in the FTX license, then that will certainly help you with your tolerancing. And it's a total of a 2-day course, and depending on which license you have, we would tailor the, like if you only have the LOE license, then we would certainly de-emphasise the tolerance advisor, which is not part of LOE, and concentrate more on the manual ways of adding tolerances and annotations to parts, and then automatically dropping them into drawings and those sorts of things. The last two courses I want to talk about are the part and assembly final element analysis products, GPS and GAS. You may or may not know that as part of CATIA, without necessarily having to go off to the extension through Similia, the Abacus-based finite element analysis that DASO offers. CATIA 5 offers both part finite element analysis and assembly finite element analysis. So GPS is generally part stress, which is part-based, and the course goes through more, as I said, the fundamentals, more than the fundamentals of how to set up a part for analysis, how to apply loads, how to apply constraints. Those constraints can be fixed, clamp constraints, sliders, virtual parts, the loads, forces, moments, displacements, again, depending on the license you've got, heat, temperature fields, and those sorts of things. How to refine a mesh. There is a bit of discussion about validating the finite element model. We actually do a little bit of manual stress analysis, some basic sigma equals MYI stuff, and then comparing that with finite element analyzed parts, just to show you, the level of confidence that you can have. And this course goes through that. If you then want the next level up, which is generative assembly, GAS, is the assembly-based version of the same thing. So GPS is for a single part, where you can have virtual other parts plugging into it. GAS and the training associated with it shows you how to analyse assemblies of structures, how to do actual and virtual bolting, how to do sort of rigid and semi-rigid connections between parts, and then do analysis, finite element analysis of those parts. Combined for both GAS and GPS training is 2 days, 16 hours. Just as a note, these finite element analysis is a linear static. While CATIA can, through the extensions and through Abacus and those sort of things, do non-linear, non-static analysis, basic inbuilt ones, which are intended for sort of the engineer at the desktop. I've created some parts that I would like to analyse these just to make sure I've got the right order of magnitude, that I'm within the realm of elastic range, before maybe you send it off for big and expensive analysis, so you can do some iterative stuff before you get there. There are we teach you the different sorts of meshing options are available. The meshing is usually automatic. You have some control over the mesh. You've certainly got lots of control over the coarseness and fineness of the mesh. We teach you about the tools to find out where the least trustworthy part of the analysis is, so you can change the mesh size, change the number of meshes, change the mesh orientations and things to get the best possible result, and all that sort of, and the generation of reports and those sorts of things is certainly covered in that process. Okay. And that's all I wanted to talk about. So I've kept it well under half an hour. Okay, are there any questions? You got any questions, Antonio? That explain enough of what our training is all about and what our instructor is about?
Well, they must do the bus round. Probably the new services to the Sydney airport or